In a move that has sent shockwaves across the globe, Trump has ordered the US to resume nuclear weapons testing, a step unseen in over 3 decades. As Cold War fears resurface, the world watches, questioning, is this strategic resolve or a reckless play in Moscow's theatre? In a move that has reignited Cold War-era fears, US President Donald Trump has ordered the Department of War to begin testing America's nuclear weapons, marking what could be the country's first live detonation in over 3 decades. The announcement came just hours before Trump's high-stakes meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea, where the two leaders were expected to discuss trade, security, and regional stability. Moments later, Beijing reacted with what it called a hope that Washington would continue to respect the global nuclear testing ban, a pointed reference to the 1996 Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, which prohibits any nuclear weapon test explosion or any other nuclear explosion. The problem, according to analysts, is that much of what Trump claimed simply isn't true. Writing in The Atlantic, Thomas Nichols, an American academic specializing in international affairs, noted that Trump's version of nuclear arithmetic was mostly wrong.
Russia has the world's largest stockpile of nuclear bombs, largely because the Russians are still holding on to a lot of smaller tactical weapons designed for use on a battlefield.
While Trump asserted that the US had the world's biggest nuclear arsenal, the numbers tell a different story. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, Russia retains roughly 4,300 nuclear warheads, the United States about 3,000 to 700, and China, the distant third, is believed to possess around 600. Trump's further claim that his administration renovated America's nuclear weapons during his first term also falls short of fact. The modernization of the US nuclear arsenal, a $1 trillion program, began under President Barack Obama and remains ongoing. So why issue such an order now, and why frame it as an act of necessity? Nichols argues that Trump's decision appears to be driven less by strategic logic and more by irritation, particularly over Russia's recent boasts about experimental weapons, including the long-troubled Burevestnik nuclear-powered cruise missile.
Trump is probably nettled about Russia's claim to have tested a long-range nuclear-powered cruise missile, the Burevestnik.
The Burevestnik is purported to be a missile with unlimited range, powered by a miniature nuclear reactor. But Western analysts have long dismissed it as an impractical relic of Soviet-era bravado, a weapon more symbolic than strategic. If Trump proceeds with his order, it would mark the first US nuclear weapons test since 1992, when President George H.W. Bush announced a unilateral moratorium. America has since relied on advanced computer simulations and subcritical tests to verify the reliability of its warheads, methods that obviate the need for live detonations. Such a move would not only shatter Washington's 33-year testing hiatus, but also weaken its moral standing in urging others, particularly North Korea and Iran, to exercise restraint. Trump's order also comes amid growing concern about China's accelerating nuclear buildup, an expansion that has effectively turned the old US-Russia rivalry into a three-way arms race. According to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, China's nuclear arsenal has doubled from around 300 warheads in 2020 to roughly 600 in 2025. US military assessments suggest Beijing could surpass 1,000 warheads by 2030. This surge has alarmed Washington, particularly given China's modernization of delivery systems, including mobile intercontinental ballistic missiles, hypersonic glide vehicles, and new submarine-based deterrents. While Trump's announcement focuses on land-based testing, Russia's underwater ambitions remain a separate and deeply unsettling dimension. The Poseidon nuclear-powered underwater drone, named after the Greek god of the sea, represents one of the most unconventional weapons developed in the post-Cold War era. Blending characteristics of a torpedo and an autonomous vehicle, the Poseidon is designed for stealth, endurance, and massive destruction. According to data circulated by Russian state media and open-source intelligence, the Poseidon is about 20 meters long, 1.8 meters wide, and weighs around 100 tons. It could potentially carry a multi-megaton nuclear payload, enough to generate a radioactive tsunami against coastal targets. While its actual deployment status remains unclear, the weapon has become a potent symbol of Moscow's strategic messaging, a reminder that Russia is prepared to innovate, even at apocalyptic risk. Since the first atomic test in 1945 at Alamogordo, New Mexico, there have been more than 2,000 nuclear test explosions worldwide. The majority were conducted by the US and the former Soviet Union during the Cold War, with devastating environmental and humanitarian consequences. North Korea remains the only country to have conducted a nuclear test in the 21st century.
During the Cold War, the superpowers sometimes engaged in nuclear tests as a way of signaling nerve and resolve. Unfortunately, these tests served mostly to put both East and West on edge, polluted parts of the United States and the former Soviet Union, and made a lot of people sick.
The CTBT, adopted in 1996, was meant to end this destructive cycle. Although signed by 187 countries, it never came into force because key signatories, including the United States, China, and Iran, have not ratified it. Russia's 2023 decision to rescind its ratification was widely seen as a warning shot, hinting that Moscow might resume testing if Washington did. For critics, Trump's order reflects a deeper nostalgia, a return to the Cold War reflex where power is equated with spectacle. Nuclear testing, they argue, has no strategic necessity today. It merely projects an image of strength at immense diplomatic cost.
Trump may be stuck in this sort of Cold War mentality, trying to show his toughness by resuming testing, especially because he seems to take it personally when Russia engages in occasional nuclear swaggering.
Resuming nuclear testing, Nichols warns, would not demonstrate deterrence. It would erode it. America's rivals already know its arsenal works. What they are watching, instead, is whether Washington can maintain global leadership without destabilizing the system it helped build. For now, it remains unclear whether Trump's order will materialize into an actual test. Nuclear detonations require months, even years, of preparation, as well as political authorization and international notification. Some analysts suggest the post could amount to little more than an impulsive declaration, another in a long series of Trump's abrupt policy pronouncements that fail to materialize. But even the suggestion has consequences. It normalizes the rhetoric of testing, chips away at decades of restraint, and plays directly into Moscow's strategic theater. In that sense, the question almost answers itself. Trump may not just be testing weapons, he may be testing the world's patience and taking Russian bait in the process.